Okay, I'm going to start off with talking about fake news and its effects on democracy, free speech, and objective truth. Oh, so what really is fake news? Well, fake news is news that is either completely fabricated or created with the intent to mislead people. So, the most famous example of fake news would be clickbait, and I'm sure you've seen this before, not only in YouTube, but on a bunch of sketchy sites like Google AdSense. You have all these articles that you won't believe these top five celebrities and what they look like now, that kind of thing. But it can also get harmful when it becomes political. So the purpose of fake news is to either get clicks and publicity or to influence people. One of the most famous cases of fake news was when one guy in a European country decided to, and he was a teenager actually, an 18-year-old from a European country, wanted to create fake articles supporting Trump so that people in America would pay him money and come to his sites, and he actually made a fortune off of that. So here are some clickbait examples of what you would typically see. For example, you have medical articles basically preying on people's health concerns. The second one is preying on people's financial insecurities. The second one is just kind of like time wasting. I guess it's not really harmful, but again, it's not really news, essentially. But this is an example of actual political fake news, and some of these can get pretty harmful and influence the public in a negative fashion. For example, this one is talking about Biden's secret emails or something like that. And the second one is actually a very famous example, one of the first cases of fake news, basically, where they're saying the main explosion was caused by a bomb or torpedo, when in actuality, it was just caused by some malfunction in the ship. So the second one is actually a very good example of how fake news can incite tensions between countries. The second example is just one of those trash articles that you'd find on Facebook every now and then. For example, this is a pro-Trump article, like, oh my God, Trump to release secret document that will destroy Obama. But yes, you can see some people are liking it. And unfortunately, that's what fake news does. It influences people, it preys on their confirmation bias, and uses that to negatively influence democracy. Okay, now we can talk about the bridge between fake news and real news. So, in reality, the bridge between fake news and real news is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is because of bipartisanship. For example, real news becomes infected with opinions, some of which intentionally mislead to promote party goals. And opinions prevent news with objective truth, as news anchors tell news and interpretations of it coinciding with their own beliefs. And I'm sure you've seen this before: MSNBC, ABC News, CNN, Fox News. All these kind of have their distinct styles and kind of bipartisanship, which either side they're leaning toward, whether it be Republican or Democrat. And basically, that affiliation, that party affiliation, basically taints the news that they're delivering. They're delivering it through people. They have facts, but they're not just delivering facts. They infuse the facts with their own opinions, which then changes how the news is delivered. And that prevents objective truth, because now they're making their opinions as the fact. For example, here's just some examples of how bipartisanship has infected both both of like the biggest news channels in America. On CNN, we have Don Lemon basically focusing on attacking Tucker Carlson or something like that. But basically, they're just focusing on this not really important news, but since it's focusing on the other side, Republicans, it's being greenlighted. And then you have Tucker Carlson on the right here, just trying to garner sympathy for Ivanka Trump and the Trump family, basically. So they're trying to pander to Republicans and garner more support for that. So you can see how this is definitely a problem here. Republicans are going to lean more towards Fox News, while Democrats are going to lean more towards CNN. And that's a huge problem because it just creates a bigger rift in bipartisanship. Now we're not really getting facts, we're getting more of opinions. Objective truth is when something is true regardless of one's opinion on the matter. So, for example, an objective truth would be humans need water to survive. You could say, nah, I don't believe that. Then you would die in 3 days after you didn't drink any water. But something that's subjective is that video games are fun. That's not an objective truth because some people can believe video games are fun. Some people do not believe video games are fun. And if they do believe that video games are not fun, then video games just aren't fun for them. There is no objective thing on that. So news channels do not reflect objective truth because news anchors relay their opinions and interpret facts through their opinions, changing the truth for the American public, as we discussed earlier. It's getting increasingly more as a problem as Democrats and Republicans become more and more extreme. You have these news anchors and these news channels just reflecting that, creating this echo chamber. Here's just a quick example of kind of a pattern I've seen throughout this decade. So Democrats are more likely to attribute mass shootings to gun control issues, obviously, and Republicans are more likely to attribute mass shootings to a mental health crisis and video game crisis. For example, some recent shootings, Republicans try to blame the shootings based on GTA, a Grand Theft Auto game. So these bipartisan opinions shape the truth of the issue behind mass shootings. But when Fox News conveys, okay, I really, really believe that the reason for this this mass shooting, was mental health, then all these Republicans are going to take that as a truth. So that's just how it works. You have these echo chambers here, which really prevents objective truth from being delivered. Fake news also influences democracy negatively. It preys on susceptible people with a confirmation bias, as we discussed earlier, and it reinforces their beliefs. It reduces critical thinking because it provides no evidence for its claims. Often fake news uses something called circular reporting, where they just basically gather fake evidence like from joke articles like The Onion, or just Wikipedia, or they're going to ask another source to just create some fake evidence, which in turn allows them to create that fake news and cites evidence. Oh, I cited my evidence, therefore my thing is real, but it's not. And all of this damages the intelligence of a democracy. And if you damage the intelligence of a democracy, you won't be able to intelligently elect our leaders, which just makes democracy worse. Fake news is also hard to distinguish from free speech because it's hard to draw the line between the right to freedom of speech and spreading harmful misinformation. But fake news can in fact be harmful sometimes. One fake news article a while back said that vaccines cause autism, and cited some very sketchy scientific evidence. But after that, it sparked an entire harmful anti-vaccination movement. And when you don't vaccinate your kids, well, they're more likely to die.